Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Here's my boomstick!
Game over, man. It's game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he is your co-host, Sandro Luketic. And today we're talking 2002's Dog Soldiers, which I think is our fifth-ish werewolf movie. But we assume if you're listening to this episode, you have already seen the film. Right off the bat, Sandro, when I said we're watching Dog Soldiers, what did that mean to you?
I thought they did a movie adaptation of Dog City. That was kind of weird.
I forgot about Dog City. That was great.
How many people remember Dog City? Shout us out if you remember Dog City. No, in all honesty, when you said it, based on the title, I thought this was going to be like a jarhead, like military, like obviously there is a military aspect to it, but like a legit, serious military movie. Yep. So I was quite pleased to see that, no, that's not what it was, because in all honesty, and this is not a slam against those types of movies, but they're just not for me.
Well, they're not for a lot of people, because I watched this again last night with two people who hadn't seen it before, and it was the title that threw them off. They're like, we just don't like military film, so we just ignored it. And this movie definitely suffered from lack of exposure. And I think the title, well, first off, the title doesn't even really make sense.
No, it doesn't. Like, it makes you think that, like, they are the werewolves and they're a bunch of soldiers. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah, it does not work. I think it's a good title, just not for this movie.
Well, what would you call this movie?
Oh, I have no idea. I was thinking about that earlier, and I couldn't really come up with anything better, but it is misleading. We agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry to make you watch Werewolves again, man, but god damn it, this isn't a good werewolf movie.
I don't mind watching multiple werewolf movies just as long as they're not crap.
Yeah. I'm sure like my enthusiasm is... Hey. Easy. Werewolves and Dick Miller.
I love Dick Miller. I wish Dick Miller was in this movie too.
Oh, that would have been great.
But I didn't like The Howling.
That's fine. The Werewolves and The Howling, I enjoy them, but I agree they do look kind of rough.
It's not the look of the werewolves that gets me in The Howling. It's how slow of a movie it is, which this one does not suffer from that.
No. Watching this, it gave me the same feeling as when I watched 28 Days Later for the first time. I mean, also another British film from the same era, but like there is a certain look to early 2000s British film. I don't know if it's lenses or filters or whatever it is, but like as soon as you press play, you pretty much know you're watching a British film.
Yeah, didn't catch any of that.
No, really? It's just, there's weird coloration. The film stock is kind of grainy. With 28 Days Later, it was one of the first films shot on like mini DV with a red camera. This here was actually filmed, but I don't know. There's something. There's a noticeable difference. Kind of like watching American television and British television. It just looks different.
Well, just in case anybody's keeping score, I have never seen 28 Days Later either.
Dude, you just set me up for that one then. We're going to do that very soon.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. You'll love it. I promise.
No, thank you.
Have I ever led you astray?
Yes, The Howling.
No, The Howling is a great movie. You missed out on something. You weren't paying attention to it.
Okay, sure.
All right. Well, I'm just going to jump right into this.
Yeah, let's talk about. Let's finally talk.
Let's talk about The Howling.
Yeah, these intros. We never talk about the movie we're actually going to talk about.
Howling Dog Soldiers. So the film opens in the Scottish Highlands, where a couple are out camping, and the woman gives her partner a silver letter opener as a gift. Problem right away for me. She looks like she's dressed from the 70s, and he is 2002 for sure. One of the people I watched the movie with, they're like, when is this movie set?
Well, you know what is old is new again, and maybe 70s fashion had a bit of a revitalization around that time.
Maybe, I don't know, but it did look weird. I definitely don't like how we're already setting up werewolf lore in a movie that otherwise doesn't really deal with it at all. I don't know, like the inclusion of silver right away. You're like, all right, well, trope number one. We're a few seconds into the movie.
There is a reason that I really like this, though.
Okay, do tell.
I can't get into it right now.
Interesting. That night, they're slaughtered in their tent. My money is on werewolves, but they just don't show. But man, when that woman gets pulled from the waist down, like outside of the tent, it's like she just explodes.
I loved this scene.
It's great.
When he starts unzipping her 70s outfit, but that perfectly transitions to them hearing the sound of their tent being unzipped. Yeah. I was like, that's genius.
Dude, there is great filmmaking all the way through this. And I have to say, this is Neil Marshall. It's his first feature film, and he wrote and directed it. I think he did a great job. But yeah, cut to the title screen, which is pretty bad. I don't like that logo at all.
It definitely shows where they cut a few corners on budget. And to be honest, it's like the least important thing if you're trying to conserve some money.
For sure. And I don't know if I have this note written correctly, but I have cut to 2 hours earlier.
No, you wrote that right, and I hated it.
Yeah. In North Wales, Private Cooper, played by Kevin McKidd, is being chased through the forests. He assaults one of the pursuers before being captured, and this is where we find out it's just a field training exercise.
Well, he beats the shit out of a few of them with a flashlight.
I guess, yeah. Now, that's military training for you, man.
Way to set up Cooper as a badass. Like, yeah, he gets captured, but there's like 6 of them.
Yeah. Care to continue there? He does wail on people with a flashlight.
Yeah.
The training exercise is run by Captain Richard Ryan, who is Liam Cunningham, who you know from Game of Thrones.
Sir Davos.
There you are. He informs Cooper that he evaded them for 22 hours and 47 minutes, putting him right at the head of the class. Not bad. Honestly, I as soon as that scene was over, I'm like, this would be a really fun exercise without the assault.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, they're not using actual artillery to kill each other or anything, but,
no.
You know, getting punched a few times in a military training exercise, you kind of expect that.
Yeah. Ryan then instructs Cooper to shoot the dog used to track him down. Cooper refuses to kill the dog for no reason. So Ryan fails Cooper immediately and kills the dog himself as an example. Well, we already have our hero and villain set up right now. No wasting time.
Yeah, I don't like violence against animals. I mean,
well, I hope most people don't.
They clearly film this in a way like you don't see the dog. Like, it's clearly not being harmed in any way. But I loved Cooper when he's just like, it's not that I can't kill the dog, it's that I won't kill this dog
for no reason.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's different if a dog is like rabid and trying to gnaw your throat off or something. Yeah, okay, cool, right? But no, like, this is just a dog.
Yeah. I kind of have a problem with Cooper as our hero. I mean, it comes up a few times throughout the movie. We'll get to it. But Liam Cunningham as Captain Ryan is a great villain here.
Yeah. Have a guy shoot a dog. He's a villain.
Yep. 4 weeks later, we're back in the Scottish Highlands.
Well, why? Why this?
I don't know.
2 hours earlier, 4 weeks later. Oh, go F yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. A helicopter lands and a team of soldiers exit for another training exercise. This is Cooper's new team, led by Sergeant Wells, played by Sean Pertwee. We also have Spoon, Terry, Bruce, and finally Joe, who is very upset that he's missing the England versus Germany soccer match.
Yeah, it's all out footy war, man. And I think the implication is that this is his old crew. Because when he's talking to Wells, he says, like, it was just something I had to do. And Wells is like, well, I'm glad because we wouldn't have been the same without you. Like, I think this is just him back with his regular militia team. Back
with the boys.
Yes.
I love some of the references here, too, because Bruce, his name's Bruce Campbell. And Sergeant Wells, his name is Sergeant Harry G. Wells or H.G. Wells. The back and forth ribbing is perfectly written and immediately makes you like everybody in this platoon.
And you really get the impression that they like each other as well. Like it's not malicious. Like they're all just buddies and ribbing each other and giving each other a hard time, but at the same time they're close and they care.
Exactly. Even things like Sarge trying to get everyone to synchronize their watches and Spoonie forgot his. So
Spoonie?
Sarge,
it's Spoonie now?
They refer to him as Spoonie throughout the film.
Okay. All right.
Sarge gives Spoonie his watch. And Spoon's like, well, what do you do, Sarge? He's like, well, I'll count.
I'll count, yeah. Well, obviously.
The funny part here is, I mean, it kind of makes him a time machine. Great bonding scene. Great bonding scene between Sarge and Cooper, with Sarge telling Cooper that you have to stick to your beliefs, and he's happy to have him on the squad. Like you said before, like everybody here gets along perfectly. And then, you know,
I'm not sure what all their roles are. Like they make it kind of seem like Terry is the communications guy,
which is horrible because Terry does everything poorly.
Yeah, but it's like, what? Like,
I don't think we really need to know.
Joe's kind of like the bruiser, I guess. And I mean, Spoon's probably just a utility guy.
Utensil guy. During a break, Cooper tells everyone about the stories of disappearances in the area, even mentioning the camping couple from the opening. Also telling them that no bodies are ever found. People just seem to vanish there. Cool.
Well, that seems like the kind of place I'd want to go for a training exercise. You know that woods where everybody disappears and it's very remote?
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Also, it's weird that they're dropped in with like the idea that they're supposed to be 50 kilometers behind enemy lines and up against British special forces. Sorry. It's really weird. That seems very intense to me. And that's right after that is where we get the palling around kind of thing. So it almost lessens the impact of what the mission is for me.
Well, I mean, it is a training exercise and they are told that like we're essentially up against the special forces team.
Yeah.
Right.
So. They march into the evening, but unbeknownst to them, they're spotted by Captain Ryan. We're not really sure what he's doing there. We assume he's leading the special forces team.
That's the implication. I mean, he turns to the other guy who conveniently turns away to radio the camp to not show his face because, you know, we're not going to get additional actors.
No, God, no.
He's giving them orders. Like he is running the special forces unit that's on the opposing side.
Yep. My problem here is it's only one of two reasons why Ryan's there. One, they messed up, and this training exercise is terrible because they just dropped them off right next to the special forces team. So that's immediate combat right away. Or the other, something's up. So it feels like we know something's going on that's kind of fishy way too early in the movie.
We didn't know when the campers were ripped in half?
Well, no, I get that, but I mean, like,
going on?
I mean, with the military exercise, like something is not up to snuff. During a break at the base of a cliff, Sarge tells a creepy story of Eddie Oswald's laughing devil tattoo on his ass. What did you think of that story?
I liked it.
I loved it.
And the delivery from Sean Pertwee was fantastic. He's got a great voice. I would love to see him doing like more like voice acting or you know what I mean?
He has an absolutely amazing voice, and his way of speaking and everything he's in just commands your attention.
Mm-hmm.
He's fantastic. But the story of the Laughing Devil tattoo, about how he claimed that, or Eddie claimed that he didn't really believe in God or whatever, and that it was Satan that was going to save his skin, ends up being blown up in war, and there's almost nothing left to him but a perfectly preserved piece of skin that's singed on the edges, but in the middle is the Laughing Devil. And Sarge just being like, Satan did indeed save his skin, just not all of it.
Yeah, I already agreed with you. This is a great story.
Perfect punchline, though. Spoonie's in the middle of a joke, which I thought was absolutely hilarious way of like poorly breaking tension.
Well, it's because there's this like dumbfounded silent moment.
Awkward.
Where everybody's like, what do I say to that? And then Spoonie's just like, forget it. Let's tell this joke.
Mid-joke, a cow carcass lands next to their campfire.
And Terry opens fire with blanks on it.
Yeah. And they even call him out on it. They're like, Jesus, Terry, they're blanks, son. Cooper inspects the carcass and notices teeth marks and claw marks all over it. Sarge tells the boys to keep the area secure for the night and sets up a watch schedule.
They were absolutely not curious enough about this cow.
No.
Because
Sarge is later.
It's even still, like, at this moment, it's like, why did it fall? Where was it?
Yeah, getting into the night, though, you really don't want to try and start exploring.
Is this one of those forest cows?
Yeah, they have them.
Yeah. It must have tripped and fallen.
Got some pretty decent distance, though.
I'm not saying they need to explore, but like somebody's got to question this a little bit more at this moment. The weather did call for falling, mutilated cows.
Okay, now I think you're looking into this a little too much.
It's a cow that falls from the sky.
Off of the
obviously
cliff?
From the cliff above, but like this isn't a normal occurrence.
I don't know. I don't spend time in the Highlands. I know there are forest cows.
All right, forget it. Just move on.
Cut to Ryan that same night. He knows he's being watched by something, but can't find it. He's then attacked, and we see blood splatter over the rocks. It's fine, I guess. The next morning, the boys set out looking for clues as to what could have happened to the cow. Here you go. Here's your curiosity.
You sounded so disappointed by that blood splattered on the rocks, I guess.
It looked good, but we didn't need it. Do you think it was necessary?
Yeah, nothing in this movie is necessary. It's a movie.
They find bits of fur on tree branches, chunks of meat strewn about. It's now dusk, and they see a flare fired into the sky a fair distance away. Arriving at the origin site of the flare, they discover the now destroyed Special Forces encampment. Blood and guts are everywhere. They don't seem concerned over the fact that there's live ammunition and guns everywhere, but do the smart thing to arm themselves with it and look for casualties.
This is the team we were supposed to be up against? We had blanks and they had this?
Yeah. One thing I thought was really cool is that they acknowledged that all of the clips are full, no shots were fired, and there are no bodies to be seen.
So yeah, like they got attacked in their sleep type thing.
I guess. But like nobody woke up to get a shot off. And this is where we get the immediate change in tone. I've had 23 minutes of bonding with these guys, and now we're all in the shit together. I think that's great storytelling. Because yes, there was the slaughter of the couple at the beginning, and then the death of the dog. But all of this time that we've spent with these soldiers has been intentionally jovial in a way to get us to associate with them. And now that we have that connection, putting them in a scene of terror immediately draws us into the story. I loved it.
Cool.
Really, that's all you have to say is cool.
Cool beans?
All right. The only survivor turns out to be Ryan, who's incredibly fucked up.
Buried under bodies. Or not bodies, like...
Not bodies, just stuff.
stuff, torn clothes and supplies and just stuff.
Yeah. He's screaming that they all have to get out of there and that there was only supposed to be one. They try to radio for help, but of course there's no response. Can you imagine if there was? They're like, yeah, we'll be right there. Movie's over. Cooper points out that Ryan has no patches or identification stating he's part of the military, and deduces from that and the presence of nets and tranquilizer darts that Ryan's team were on a covert mission. Build some intrigue. I'm okay with this.
Guess they weren't the opposing team for the training exercise? I don't know.
But they were, because this is not a training exercise. You did pick up on that, right?
Yeah, like the training team was baited in there, obviously.
Yeah.
But like
Ryan ranting about his team being torn apart. And again, like I had mentioned with like filters and lenses and whatnot, just equipment in general. Some of the shots in this movie are so horribly grainy, it does kind of take me out of it a bit. I find they do like establishing shots with the moon or anything like that. There's so much visual noise that I just focus on that and not the story. And that is a recurring complaint for me with this. The squad discovers that their radios were bugged and they were being tracked. And at first they think that the exercise was rigged so they couldn't win. But obviously we know that they are being used as bait.
Yes.
Ryan yet again warns them about their impending deaths, just as howls in the distance push the team to move out. What do you think about this scene now?
Which scene?
That we're going into right now. Like Bruce spotting movement in the trees.
Kind of Predator-esque.
Yeah. I thought so too. I thought exactly Predator. But I know this is blasphemy, but I think I like it here more.
Okay.
Tries to fire his gun, but it jams, and then he just takes off, eventually running into a branch and impaling himself.
Come on, I hate this. I hate this so much.
It's terrible. He would have to be running directly into a tree. And he was looking where he was going.
Hate this. It worked in something like Tucker and Dale where it's supposed to be ridiculous and outlandish.
Yeah.
You're telling me a military guy is going to just run into a branch?
I did like how like a werewolf just rips his body off the tree and pulls it deeper into the woods. So at least
you can't let it go to waste.
I know, but at least we didn't leave that segment with him just dying on the branch, looking like an idiot. Sarge is the next to be attacked.
He did do that. He did look like an idiot.
I know, but at least we didn't end that segment there.
Okay.
Yeah, Sarge getting attacked. First time I saw this, I was like, God damn it, I like Sarge. It's like my favorite of the movie. And he's gutted. But
yeah.
like they just pour out. But Cooper shoots at the beast before it can finish the job. I got a little squeamish here.
Not a fan of this.
Cooper just trying to shove Sarge's guts back into his body.
Yeah, first of all, the guts don't look very good in that scene.
No, they look really bad.
Like they're clearly just low budget plastic or like, latex or some sort of guts sitting on top of his perfectly fine stuff. It does not look good. But it's also effective imagery to see Cooper just trying to shove them back in.
Yeah, and I felt that while the special effects really took away from the moment, the acting between Pertwee and McKidd was so good that it still kept me into the scene. Mm-hmm. I also love the fact that we got to see that the werewolves have a black and white vision. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's just a nice little touch.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it at all.
I wouldn't assume that you did. The squad firing at the werewolves while they dart through the tree line gave me nightmares after I first saw this movie.
Yeah?
I loved it. It's incredibly simple. There's really not a lot to see other than these shapes in the distance just darting back and forth. Super effective, causes panic. Well done. They eventually come upon a road just as a car passes by. It stops and the driver, Megan, played by Emma Cleasby, shouts at them to get in. Of course, they do so and try to speed off, but the car is being held in place. And now we finally get to see some of the elements of the werewolves up close as they attack the vehicle. What are your thoughts on what we see of the werewolves at this point?
I'm not overly fond of the werewolf imagery in this movie as a whole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're a little too, like, lanky and skinny. I don't know.
That was a choice, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just one that didn't sit super well with me. It's by no means the worst I've ever seen. Not by a long shot. But just, I don't know. Something about it just didn't sit right with me.
Weird. Of all the werewolf movies we've covered, I decided that this is my favorite werewolf design.
Oh, okay. Not bad. I mean, the movies we covered are not setting a very high bar.
Hey, not that bad.
They're not that good either.
The Howling was fantastic, I do have to say.
You even said that The Howling wasn't great. Remember you talking about the ears. Don't get me started.
I know, the ears look... it's not fucking Silver Bullet, man. That was terrible. I mean, the movie's great, don't get me wrong. I love that fucking movie. But that's a bad werewolf.
We'll see.
What do you think about the arm through the sunroof?
What am I supposed to think about it?
I thought it looked really cool. It also looked kind of comedic, though, because it was just kind of flailing and flopping around.
Yeah,
but
did the same thing later on when they had an arm coming through the door in the cabin.
Door, yeah. What about
Very
the
similar.
knife through the forearm?
What do you keep asking me this for? It was a knife through the forearm. What am I supposed to say on that?
I don't know. Did you think it looked fucking cool? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Have an opinion, goddammit.
I don't remember signing up for having an opinion.
Oh, I never have to ask you for them because you always just fucking throw them at me whether I want it or not. I did find it funny, though, that it couldn't get its arm out back through the sunroof because the knife was blocking it.
Yeah. I mean, adds a little bit of a comedic touch to something that we ain't going to see much comedy from moving forward.
No. They eventually break free and drive off. Honestly, a pretty intense scene. So far, we've only lost Bruce Campbell. They arrive at a house belonging to Megan's friends and hunker down. Did the state of the cabin tip you off at all? Like the table's set, there's food on the stovetop? Because I called this shit immediately. Yeah,
right away. I was like, this isn't right.
Yeah. Well, I knew exactly what was going on at this point.
I didn't put 100% together. I mean, at this point, I even thought maybe the people that lived here were already victims.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they don't leave tracks too much. And obviously, this wasn't something where they planned to leave ahead of time. It just happened, right? Everything, like, the pot on the stove looks like it's still going. Right?
It is.
Like,
it still has fire underneath it.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And the thing is, we know that nobody ever finds bodies or like carnage or anything like that, but there's always blood. This house is pristine for an old, I guess, farm cottage. Nice addition to the dog to the cast, though.
For a bit of a jump scare?
No, it was more so as a response to the dog being killed at the beginning of the film. I thought reintroducing a dog character, because we know that the dog and Cooper are going to interact.
Of course. Cooper likes dogs.
They tend to serge his wounds and scarf down the food. Of course, you get the classic tastes like pork line. A plan's formulated to head to the closest town, which is 4 hours away. But they discover that while they're inside, the car's engine has been ripped apart and the gas line broken.
Yeah. Cutting off any escape.
Yep. Also another cool shot of werewolves in the distance. But they retreat inside, and Cooper had lit a flare to see what was going on. He just drops it and runs. So, bam, car explodes.
They explode too easily in movies.
Everything in this movie explodes too easily.
I mean, just cars in general.
Yeah. Not as bad as Showdown in Little Tokyo, though.
Yeah, but Showdown in Little Tokyo was definitely a different tone than this.
This scene is pure fucking panic, dude. The werewolves siege on the house. Like
The first of many.
Many, yeah. I like this. I like this as a siege scenario. The soldiers trapped inside, werewolves outside trying to get in. That's all you really need for me for a movie. But they're like trying to break down the door. There's gunfire. Everyone's screaming. Then you cut to the dog pulling at Sarge's bandages.
How was it the bandages?
It was the bandage. They changed
Was
it.
it?
Yeah, originally they were going to have the dog pulling at Sarge's intestines, but
That's what it looked like to me.
But Marshall's like, yeah, no. So we changed to the bandages. They're just bloody bandages.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty quick shot, but when I saw it, I was like, is he pulling on his intestines?
I mean, I think that would have been better, really, because it's cringy as all hell.
Honestly, that's what I thought it was.
But everyone's staying in character, which I love. Even Ryan is screaming at them to shut the dog up. Like, still hating on those dogs. Ryan then grabs a gun to shoot the dog, but Terry vomits on his head, so he stops.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
It doesn't make sense, but I know that is exactly what happened. They barricade doors and windows and put pots full of water on the stove to boil. And Megan finally tells Cooper they're fighting werewolves. I don't know how none of these soldiers would have kind of guessed or toyed with the idea that that might be it, because they look like fucking werewolves.
Yeah.
And they've all seen them. Like, what else are they going to be? It makes no sense to me that they all have a tough time accepting this to be true.
Yeah, denial.
Yeah. They take Sarge to a bedroom upstairs to close his wound with super glue, while others scavenge the house, finding a sword, an axe, and an electric knife. Kind of funny. But what really made me laugh in this scene was Cooper trying to help Sarge up the stairs. And they have to stop, so Sarge is like to Megan, "Can you hand me my gun, please?" And he's using it as a cane. And he's like, "All right, Cooper, up the wooden hill." And then Cooper just starts laughing under his breath. I don't know if that was supposed to be in the film or if McKidd actually broke character and was laughing there. But it's so organic and authentic and natural. I love the dialogue between these two.
It's quite good, yes.
They definitely got Sarge drunk on whiskey.
Oh, did they ever?
Yeah. And he was legitimately drunk in that scene. So,
well, like when they were recording?
Yeah. He asked Neil Marshall if he was allowed to have a few drinks. And the director's like, "Yeah, for sure." And then later on, he's like, "I don't know how much a few was, but he definitely had them." But yeah, Pertwee was wasted in this scene, and he's fantastic. Yeah. You know where he gets Cooper to punch him to knock him out because it hurts too much, and then he comes back and tells him to punch him again.
Yeah,
yeah. Cooper actually Kevin McKidd legit punched him in the face and knocked him out.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, they are definitely method actors, I guess.
At this point, yeah, I guess Pertwee leaned in too close because he was wasted and took it straight in the face.
Oh, well, hey, if it happened by accident, but it still happened, keep it on camera.
It looked great. I'm going to assume this is easily one of your favorite scenes.
It's up there.
Yeah, okay, same. Next, we find out that Ryan's wounds have miraculously healed. Things start to get heated and they tie him up. I mean, as viewers, we know what's going on, but the wolves kill the generator powering the house and are now on the move. And then we get a second siege on the house. First off,
these werewolves are smart.
They are smart. They also seem to know the house. And I wonder why.
I haven't figured it out yet. Hopefully it comes to light.
Why was that door unlocked?
I don't know.
It just seems weird. Like, they're all terrified. They've been barricading things, and they just leave a door open. That leads me to believe that somebody in the house unlocked it. But during a wolf trying to break its way through the little window of the door, Cooper just hits it in the face with a pot of boiling water.
Yeah.
Great. It was a great idea. What about where a werewolf grabs a shotgun and then fires back?
That was a little much for me, but yeah.
It didn't fit. Why would Joe stand with his back against the window?
I don't know. And the entire time this was happening, I was like, what are you, stupid?
And he's not the only one who does this.
No. Why does this happen in these movies? What are you doing? Even if these weren't werewolves, that's not good strategy.
He's a soldier.
This is a window.
Yeah, you have to know that is the worst thing you can do is expose your back.
And even then, when the werewolf takes the shotgun, it's because he's walking towards him as he's shooting. It's like, no, keep a distance.
It's the fucking bullet spread. You're better at a distance.
I can see why these guys needed military training.
Yeah. What about Cooper cutting off the wolf's arm with a sword?
I mean,
I thought it looked cool.
Effective.
Yeah. Except for when you look at the arm hanging on to Joe's collar, looks like dog shit. It looks really, really bad. Like worse than Sarge's guts.
I mean, they clearly didn't have the budget.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts is in this scene too, and it's Spoonie nailing the door closed as quickly as possible, and then a wolf hand pops through the mail slot, and he just starts wailing on it with the hammer.
Yep. Laugh
out loud moment for me. Also, why does that house have a mail slot?
For when they get mail.
Who? I don't know. They're 4 hours away from the closest town. I don't really see any letter carrier going that far.
Yeah, they go a great distance to give you the feeling of how remote this is. They are definitely a house that's going to have to travel to town for a P.O. box.
Exactly. We hear glass breaking upstairs. Cooper checks on the still unconscious Sarge. And this is where we get our first full look at the werewolf design. You think they're too elongated, too stretched?
Yeah, they're kind of lanky.
They are lanky, but I feel like that adds a really creepy, imposing feeling to them because they're always looming down over you. I guess you could beef them up a bit, yeah. But at the same time, I guess Neil Marshall wanted them to be a little bit more graceful, athletic. I mean, all of the werewolves are played by professional dancers. So I kind of get that desire for grace out of the actual wolf design as well. Mm-hmm. I love it, but yeah, I can see where it would be problematic for some. But one wolf is already in the room. I honestly don't even remember if it was standing on the floor or the bed, but it's looming over the unconscious Sarge. And another one's trying to pull itself through the window. Eventually, Cooper and Sarge, who now wakes up, force them back through the window, and the wolves fall back, but one manages to bust through a window downstairs and grab Terry, who, much like Joe earlier, was standing with his back to the window.
Why?
I don't know. It's dumb. But see, I would expect that from Terry, because he seems like a fuck up. I don't expect that from Joe. So remove that Joe window scene, leave the Terry scene, it all works out.
Yeah, I'd accept if it's the idiot. Fine, but...
Yeah, exactly. But we now get a moment of silence. And that made me realize that for the last several minutes, it's just been yelling, screaming, gunfire, wolves growling, shit just going chaotic. There has been no reprieve from noise. And then when they hit this one silent moment, you realize how crazy intense the last few minutes were. I really enjoyed that. Okay. And I also love how they accompany that with the use of fade outs, which you don't really see in action films. So when you see like a crazy chaotic scene end in silence and then the scene slowly fades after the intense action, it allows you that moment to calm back down. If this was just cut, I don't think the pacing would work as well. Megan tells the soldiers that she knows Ryan from previously. They were working, or she was working with his team the first time they visited to investigate the rumors. I don't know how that didn't come up earlier and why it seems to just come up now.
Or how Ryan survived the first encounter.
Well, apparently there was no first encounter because they went as reconnaissance, and then this time they were going to try and capture one alive.
So how does she know him?
Yeah, what? I know.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
They formulate a plan to sneak into the barn and hotwire a card that's inside. Joe asks Megan if she heard who won the match, which I love that he brought that up again. And she's like, I didn't even know there was a game on. And his response of, it's not a game.
No, it's not. It's all-out footy war. We already established this.
I love it. Spoon runs distraction to allow Joe to beeline to the barn for the car. A wolf tries to pull itself through the window, but they blind it with camera flashes and force it back outside. Honestly, I love these attempts of the wolves trying to get in and then fight them off. Like,
wasn't that when Spoon was coming back in the window that the wolf tried to follow it in?
Yes.
Because he climbed up a rope knowing he can't use the same exit, and that rope was, I guess, attached to the bed for leverage, and the bed goes like barreling towards the window.
Yeah, as it's just pulling on the rope outside trying to climb up. Of course, weighing more, it just pulls the bed across the room. It climbs up. Luckily enough, they get Spoonie inside.
He's frantically trying to cut the rope with a knife. She's using a camera to blind him. It's a very tense moment.
It is really good. And while this is going on, Joe's actually made it to the barn and hotwires the car. But man, when those headlights come on and we get the reveal of a wolf slowly eating a still living Terry is fucking horrifying.
Yes.
And just the way it like has its like fingers around his forehead and the top of his head, and it just slowly like bites his neck, and you can see Terry looking towards Joe. And what happens? It just fucking rips Terry's head off and chucks it at the car.
Yes.
Obviously, Joe's going to throw it into reverse and speeds back towards the house. Did you like the reveal of a wolf hiding in the back seat?
I liked how they did it, where you kind of see the breath coming from off camera.
Yeah, behind.
But I didn't like the wolf just chilling in the car. No.
How would he not see it? They're massive. The thing's not crouching. I had a huge problem with this. I thought you would dislike it a lot more than you do. I thought you would dislike this more than me, but I found this to be incredibly problematic.
I didn't like it. I liked the visual of it. Like if, I guess there was a believable scenario about it.
I just like the breath, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all I liked was the visual of the reveal, and then him saying like, "You're in the back, aren't you?" Right, but the actual idea of the wolf just somehow being missed, being in the car, I don't like.
Yeah, and this follows up with like Joe attacking the wolf, but you know he's going to be killed. But how is the car so badly damaged and gas is leaking everywhere from just that? Because the wolf doesn't have enough time to start fucking with the car.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just... In a movie that's relatively well put together, it kind of seems like an error in judgment or editing or something. But moving on, Sarge is up and around now. That's a good sign, right?
No, never is that a good sign in a werewolf movie.
No. We finally find out what Ryan and his team were doing there, but we already know. They were there to catch a werewolf and bring it back. and Sarge's team was brought in under false pretenses and used as bait. I love that Sarge just punches Ryan in the face, but I hate how somehow this causes Ryan to transform into a werewolf.
Yeah, good timing on that one, eh?
My next note is this just bad timing? I don't understand why the werewolves transform when they do.
So it's prompted by a big emotional response.
And not the full moon.
Yes, correct. That's shut up.
Because this happens 3 times in this movie, and it doesn't make sense. It
Correct.
does not make sense.
Correct.
I do like Cooper just running a sword through Ryan's back. I have it listed here as Wolf Ryan, because he just runs him through. Yep. And then it assaults a few and just busts through a window and takes off into the night. Sword still through his back.
Yes.
And here we find out what I already knew, and I assume you did as well, that the werewolves outside are the family that lives in the house.
What? No.
Is there a way that they could have protected this reveal so that it would have been more impactful?
Just not make the house look active.
Yeah.
Like she says, like, this is the closest infirmary. It's run by my friends. If they went there and it was just empty, the lights were out, the pots weren't on, then when she says, they must have left, you might have even thought they were victims, but just not in the house. Maybe they went out of the house and got attacked, or maybe they really weren't home, right? But
yeah,
making it the living house where it was active is definitely the big problem.
And it feels like it should be so much better than it is. Like, it should be a major aha moment. And you're like, I kind of figured that out on my own, but at least I know I was right now.
Yes.
They determine that the wolves are regrouping in the barn and decide to blow it up.
No, they don't determine it. Megan flat out says it.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't really.
She doesn't say they're in the barn, but she definitely suggests like they're going to be like huddled
animals
together. They're going to be in a warm place, and essentially paints a picture to them.
And Cooper looks over at the barn, and that's when they come up with the plan.
Yeah, like she definitely leads them to that conclusion.
It is determined as such. Love the segment where Sarge acknowledges why he's healed and feeling so good. It's pretty heartbreaking, though. He wants to take himself out so Cooper doesn't have to, and explain to Sarge's wife what happened, that he had to incinerate him. I don't know why they would assume that would work, because so far they haven't killed a werewolf yet.
No, they haven't.
So how do they blow up the barn?
They load it up with the gas tanks they found in the house, puncture I guess what was already leaking gas tank.
Yeah, I was confused about that. Like, they already said it was leaking pretty bad. Whatever.
And then drive it into the barn and try to light it while Coop runs back.
Yeah. It works. That barn explodes. I thought it looked really good, but I thought it was a miniature. They actually blew up a building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Even the director didn't know it was going to be that big, and the shockwave knocked him over.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Megan admits
to the craft, I guess.
Yeah. Or just lack of information or awareness. Megan admits that she knew that they weren't in the barn and that she's part of the family and let them into the house. And now she changes, or starts to change. And I don't like it. It makes no sense to me. At least Sarge just shoots her in the face.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Sarge.
No time for this shit.
No. But now we're only down to 3. We've got Cooper, Sarge, and Spoonie. Cooper and Sarge run upstairs and get split up. And Spoonie barricades himself in the kitchen. And we have the amazing kitchen fight scene. Were you a fan of the scene at all? Because it's one of my favorites of the film.
Yes, it was quite good.
Spoonie knocking out a wolf's tooth, which just sticks in a wall. He's throwing pots, pans, plates, everything he can grab. Grabs a knife and just starts stabbing the shit out of it. And you can't help but root for him the whole time, while knowing there's no way he's getting out of this alive.
No. As soon as they got separated and he was in the kitchen, you're like, all right, the clock's ticking. What are you going to do until it's over?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about Cooper and Sarge, where they split up and how they meet up again? Kind of ridiculous.
I think unnecessary, but yeah.
Yeah. Cooper ends up in a bathroom. I forget. I think Sarge is in a closet. Or no, he's in another room. I know he is in a closet. Cooper's just smashing away at a sink, breaks off the faucet and drives it through a wolf's head, and the faucet just starts pouring out blood. I thought was ridiculous, stupid, and unnecessary in a movie this serious. But Cooper eventually breaks his way through a wall into the closet where Sarge is, and the two of them get out of there and hide in like an
Wardrobe.
Wardrobe, thank you. Somehow the werewolves can't break through that wood at first anyway. So Sarge shoots through the floor, weakening it, so they fall through and into the kitchen below.
The floor, which we should point out, was covered in bones.
Yes. In the kitchen, they discover the remains of Spoonie and also find a trap door on the floor. Sarge forces Cooper into it, telling him he has to let the world know what happened there. And now Sarge starts to transform because we need another one of those.
See, now I can accept that one a little bit more, just because we saw when he got attacked. We don't know what the incubation period is for the lycanthropy.
Yep.
It is convenient that it happens now, but I can accept that it didn't happen earlier because it would have had to take root.
Yeah. And like he had to heal, and that was a massive injury to heal from.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree with you. I'm okay with this one. But when you pair it up with the others, there's some explaining I need done. His transformation, though, is a rough one. Like barely able to control his like spasming body. Still manages to cut the gas line to the stove, and when confronted by all of the wolves, manages to blow the place up. There's no fucking way Cooper would survive that. There's no fucking chance in hell he was. The only thing protecting him was an old wooden plank floor.
Yeah.
It blew apart the entire house.
This is the same wood that the werewolves couldn't break through. It's very sturdy.
I guess. It's a well-built house.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, they're werewolves. Obviously, they're going to have to reinforce their house a bit. They know what they are.
Oh, God. 20 years ago, this irritated me, and here we are. And I'm still annoyed by it. It doesn't make any sense. I hate it. However, we do get a nice reveal of Werewolf Ryan in the basement, still with the sword jutting out of his chest.
Why is he in the basement?
I don't know. How did he get in the basement? He's not fitting through that door. There's no outside door.
When all the other wolves were attacking, he's just like, all right, you guys, I'm just going to go chill in the basement and wait.
You do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's the exact same fucking scenario as the wolf with the knife in its arm. It's not getting it through that sunroof. There's no way Ryan is getting through that trapdoor and then covering it with a mat again. I don't know. But I do like the fight we get. I mean, it's short, but entertaining.
I love Werewolf Ryan trying to stab Cooper with the sword in his chest.
Oh, yeah, and the tip of the sword hits the clenched teeth. And you hear that sound, chills. I also love how the dog intervenes. I'm like, finally a dog's stepping up against Ryan.
Yeah, because Ryan doesn't like dogs.
Exactly. And this gives Cooper a few seconds to come upon the silver letter opener from the beginning of the film. He stabs Ryan with it and shoots him in the head, killing him. Much like Ryan killed the dog at the beginning of the film. I like that too.
I love that he found the letter opener. Like, when it happened early, that they gave you a very cliche, oh, here's a silver, made of pure silver letter opener. I rolled my eyes. I'm like, that's kind of cliche. But by the time it comes back, I had forgotten all about it.
Yes, me too. That was good writing.
And that's why I liked it so much, because they planned so far ahead to give Cooper this ace in the hole and gave it so much time that the viewer very easily forgot about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. It was long-term booking.
It really was. And like, it was so out of place at the very beginning of the movie. Like I said, I hate how we're getting into the, silver kills werewolves lore right away. But that's the only real lore we get, and they just drop it after that. So yeah, even I forgot that it still existed in the film world. So yeah, nice touch. Cooper and the dog emerge from the rubble of the house, and we roll credits. That house is fucking gone. It's like a doorway that's left.
Yep.
I kind of like how in between some of the credits we see the photos that were taken of the werewolves when they were trying to use the camera flash to blind them. A neat touch, unnecessary, but I like the werewolf design, so it's kind of nice to see more of it. How do you feel about the fucking joke that this movie ends on?
What?
The newspaper. Did you not see the newspaper? You stopped the movie before the newspaper.
Well, I mean, I don't watch all the credits all the time.
Dude, it shows an article in a newspaper with a shocked looking Cooper, and the headline of it just says, "Werewolves ate my platoon." And then it zooms out, and the actual main headline of the paper is England 5, Germany 1.
I did not. I shouldn't have turned off the credits so early.
No, it's funny, but does not belong in this movie.
No. It's not matching the tone of what we were given thus far.
No. Everyone's dead. Let's have a good laugh. Yeah, man. Neil Marshall, first time writer, director, has since directed The Descent, Doomsday, Hellboy, the 2019 one, which I think I'm the only person in the world that enjoyed it.
Haven't seen it. Don't know.
Yeah. Great effort, honestly, man. Like, I love it. It was low budget, though.
Oh,
and it
for sure.
I don't have the conversion here, but it was 2.3 million pounds at the time, which is a lot of money. But this is before the era of digital filmmaking, right? So this is expensive film. You want to guess, with a 2.3 million pound budget, how much it would have made?
I can't imagine. I'd never even heard of it. It made 1.5 million.
It made 5.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. Which I think it could have made more, but it really, really struggled with its release and distribution. It didn't even get a release in theaters in the States. It went right to the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh.
Yeah, so nobody was going to take that movie seriously. What a gut punch that would be for your debut feature film, direct to Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
I want to take a guess at some of the ratings here before we get into awards.
6.
0.8 for IMDb.
Okay.
Surprisingly, does even better with both the tomato meter and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. You want to take a guess what the critics decided it was valued at?
73.
80.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Audience score, 1 point behind at 79.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it is getting the love that it deserves, in my opinion, that it deserves. It just, sadly, too late.
Yeah, it didn't get the money it deserved.
No, God, no. Talk awards.
I mean, that is the next segment.
As far as least favorite character, I'm going with Cooper.
Okay.
Played by Kevin McKidd. He did great. Kevin McKidd did a great job, but Cooper was bland. Like, he was really missing something for me. Everybody else seemed to have something going on with their character, something a little bit more interesting, and he was just kind of there. I feel like there's a missed opportunity to build up his character a little bit more, because they started to at the beginning of the movie, and then that was it. They just kind of dropped it. What about you?
I mean, if you run yourself into a tree branch in a movie that's not a parody, you're going to get my ire.
Fair enough. I forgot Bruce was a character at this point.
Is it cheating? Do I need to pick somebody else?
I would like you to pick somebody who was in the movie more, but I think Bruce is a solid pick.
It's like a sacred fucking sin for... No, I even swore. This is how much it bothers me. So yeah, it's Bruce. It's
right.
Bruce.
I'm okay with that. You justified it.
Whatever. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
I want to say we have the same favorite character, but who did you pick?
This was one of the easiest awards I've ever had to pick.
Me too.
It was Sean Pertwee as Sergeant Wells.
Yeah, same.
This guy was fantastic. Great voice. I mean, it also fits the role. He's the guy who's giving the commands, at least early on before Cooper takes the reins.
Yeah.
But he's also the kind of guy where it's like, I would want to work for this guy. He cares, but he's stern. He's got great stories. He's just fantastic.
Yeah, he's not going to sugarcoat anything, but he's going to be personable. He's going to tell you the truth. He's going to help you if you need help. He expects you to be able to help others and himself if they need someone's help. He just seems like a great person who's capable in the role of sergeant to control his platoon, look after his platoon. But I want to be his fucking friend, man. I don't know. It just comes across as so likable.
Yeah.
He's great.
And you get him whiskeyed up and he'll tell you how much he loves you.
Yeah, he's so good. I want to watch more Sean Pertwee movies. Memorable line was a bit of a tough one for me. And it comes from fucking Ryan, of all people, at the beginning of the movie. And it stuck with me. And that is after he congratulates Cooper for evading them for 22 hours and 47 minutes or whatever. He says, "Of course, the real trick to survival lies not in running and hiding, but in removing your enemy's capacity to hunt you down." And that just kind of stayed with me for about 10 minutes into the movie. Like, I actually went back because I was missing things that were happening on screen. I don't know what it is, but there's some weight to that really stuck with me. But I don't really think it applies to any point in the movie because they don't remove the enemy's capacity to hunt them down.
And that's why they all fail.
Yeah.
Miserably.
But I don't know. I just really like that line. What about you? What did you go with?
This was so hard.
Yeah.
A movie like this shouldn't have had this many contenders for line.
Well, the conversations back and forth are just so entertaining that it's weird to pick a line.
So I have one written down, and I'm not 100% if I want to say that's mine, but I have Wells saying, "Listen to me, you have to make it out alive. It happened. Prove it happened."
That's a good one.
This is Wells, who is going to transform, who's going to sacrifice himself, who earlier in the movie said one of his biggest fears was never seeing his wife again. And as he's laying in the bed, is looking at a picture of her. And he brings it out multiple times when he knows, like, the end might be near. First from his guts being torn out, but then after for, like, he knew, I survived the guts, and now I'm going to die because I'm a werewolf. Like, it's such a powerful thing, but at the same time, with all of that going on, with him frantically trying to get rid of Cooper and know that he's going to sacrifice himself for the werewolves, realizes this happens every full moon, and somebody, even if not me, has to make it out to put a stop to it.
Yep. It's great. It's a great line and a great scene that's built up throughout the movie to actually have such impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's great. Memorable scene.
All right, I went with Spoon fist fights a werewolf.
I went with Spoon fighting the werewolf in the kitchen.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, when he puts his dukes up, when the wolf walks in, I'm just like, this isn't going to go anywhere. But he holds his own for so much longer than he should.
He holds his own until a second werewolf comes in.
Yeah, like, honestly, when he's stabbing the werewolf multiple times, I actually was like, is he going to do it?
I know, me too. I've seen this movie so many times. I'm like, he might win. I'm like, no, we know he doesn't win, but he could.
It just, you see Joe, when he has the werewolf in the backseat of the car, he goes headfirst at the wolf and it doesn't work out in his favor, of course, right? So it's not the first time that one of the guys is like, all right, I'm backed into a corner. I have nothing left to do but try and fight back. But even without a weapon, Spoon holds his own, pretty much wins, and then loses. But he gives you hope.
Oh, definitely. And I like how that scene ends too. Like they're just eating the mush that is left of Spoonie, but the dog's in the corner, and you just see the werewolf like face come into screen, like into shot, and is like growling at each other.
Why?
I thought it was great. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
But I don't understand. Isn't this their dog?
Yeah, but they do that to each other too. Like when the two werewolves are eating Spoonie, one snaps at the other and growls at it, and then that one goes and growls at the dog. So like obviously the alpha.
As if the dog was going to try and get in on their food?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw it somewhat differently. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, he's not going to try and kill the dog now, is he?
No, but
that
even
doesn't
Megan
make sense.
Said in the movie, like, talking about like how they're working as pack animals because they are, and how there's the alpha and the beta, and the alpha is like leading the pack, asserting dominance, and that's what that wolf was doing to the other one when they were eating Spoon, and just kind of doing that all around. So like obviously the dog is part of their pack. It's just making sure it stays in line.
Okay. I guess.
You want a little bit of trivia?
Sure.
Jason Statham was originally going to be Cooper.
Oh, that would have been so much better.
I know, right? But luckily, thank God for us, that Statham decided he was going to star in John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars instead.
Never heard of it.
Well, never watch it because that movie is trash. It is so bad. I love John Carpenter. He's one of my favorite directors, but that movie is just awful.
Oh, okay then.
And like this, Dog Soldiers has one of the best Blu-ray releases I have ever seen, from Scream Factory too, but almost didn't happen. And this is what I hate about the current state of home video, is that nobody keeps extra footage. Nobody shoots it because it's too expensive, too time consuming. If you find special features or anything, it's because like the producer or director spent their own money and time gathering elements and making these features, like behind the scenes shit. But like Scream Factory's got a wicked commentary track, hour-long making of documentary, a lot more crazy shit. Totally worth the money at $24. But they only found one place that still had a lot of the uncut film. And it was, I think, in Europe, because all of the LA storage places, as soon as it gets transferred to HD, they just delete everything else. It's insane. But that's my little home video rant as a film collector. Remember Joe getting the car out of the barn?
Yes.
The actor who played Joe didn't know how to drive. So
really?
He ran the car off the road going backwards because he couldn't keep it going straight.
Ah.
More insurance money. Oddly enough, after its release, it was the most watched film by British forces that were in Afghanistan and Iraq at the time.
How do you get that statistic?
I don't know. It's a nice little tidbit. And I found something that, upon thought, like it makes sense, but the lack of werewolf transformations. This movie doesn't have one. They just put in yellow contacts.
Yeah, because, I mean, Ryan then goes behind the table and changes.
Yeah.
Megan never fully changes before
She just gets shot in the face. And Sarge blows himself up.
All right, then.
Flat out, they didn't have the money.
You know what? I didn't even put that together.
Yep.
So they covered it up well. And I mean, yeah, I meant to say this earlier, too. This movie, despite having a fairly low budget, does as good as you probably can without a budget.
Yeah. And should we also say no CG? Practical effects are expensive, but they did a great fucking job with them here.
Well, some of these practical effects were definitely from the bargain bin of practical effects, but
some were, yeah. But I find that like when you got the really shitty effects, the acting that was happening on screen was distracting enough that you wouldn't really just sit there and watch, unless you're you. I'm sure you were just staring at those guts, being like, "That looks like shit." Wait, what happened? What are they saying?
Honestly, it didn't linger with me too much. You don't have time in this movie to just sit and linger with it because you have to move on to everything else that's happening.
Yeah, and that's what I like about how we talked about that moment of silence after, I think, the first siege attempt, just to like bring everybody back down, because once this movie starts going, it just goes and goes and goes, and does a great job at it. How do you feel about the ending?
You're going to need to be more specific.
Are we just left to believe that, I mean, you can shoot werewolves countless times, infinite amount of times, and they heal. You can sever a limb, and the limb obviously grows back. But if you blow one up, they're dead.
I guess so.
I don't like that. I don't understand how that's a thing. Like, I like how how they killed Ryan was get Silver stabbed into the body, and then like a bullet to the head would take it out with the like introduction of Silver into it. That's fine. But like shooting Megan in the face as she's transforming,
I guess that's her weakness. You got to get them when they're in human form.
Yeah, but the werewolves in the kitchen weren't in human form. I don't know. It's always been a weird one for me. But I thought that would also lead to a sequel, which they had been talking about for years. They even went into pre-production with Dog Soldiers Fresh Meat, but nothing ever came from it. There is one thing I found on IMDb that I found slightly disturbing and makes the film even darker. And this is a direct quote from the IMDb trivia. Megan says that the werewolves are kind people in human form, but it's most likely a lie because the stew in the cottage that the soldiers eat is described as tasting like pork, like I referenced earlier. Towards the end of the film, the corpse-filled cellar, it seems disturbingly like a meat larder. A meat larder being a place where you would like lard up food, preserve it. And real-life cannibals have commonly reported that human meat tastes like pork. So this kind of works in two ways, in that it reveals the werewolf family, when in human form, were not only hiding their victims' bodies around the house and in the basement, but were also cooking and eating them, which then indicates the soldiers were unknowingly eating human stew. Yes.
I definitely had that feeling when they were sitting down and eating, and I forget who it was. Maybe it was Megan. Was like, you just eat somebody else's food type thing.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, they're eating human.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah.
And that's totally on me. It makes so much sense now. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a couple random facts about the movie. All in all, now that we've gone over yet another werewolf film, how do you feel about this one?
I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I don't know if I would say it's like the greatest one, like you seem to definitely be hinting at. But it is absolutely a movie that I can recommend easily to a fan of werewolf movies, but also to anybody who's really a fan of action or horror. Like, this one covers a lot of bases, and at the very least, it's worth one watch. Whether that's by yourself or with friends, you should seek this movie out and watch it.
Yeah. I like that you brought up the fact that, you know, whether you like horror or action, you could enjoy this, because I can only list this movie as an action horror. I can't say it's just an action movie, but it's not just a horror movie. But I think any fan of either genre could get something entertaining out of this. Yeah, you're right. I do love this movie. Is it my favorite werewolf movie? I don't know. It's my favorite werewolf design for sure. But regardless of that, it's fucking fun. It's intense. A lot of great action. I'd say probably more action than horror, but the horror we get is pretty good. Lovable characters that have great chemistry on screen. I love single location movies, and that's basically what we get here. It's just a siege film on a house in the woods. So much fun. Yeah, this isn't one I'd even have to say you'd have to watch with a group of friends. If you just want to see a good movie, fucking watch Dog Soldiers, because it's fucking great.
And don't let the title mislead you, because honestly, if you didn't recommend this movie for the podcast, which essentially makes it that I have to watch it,
mm-hmm. I
probably would have avoided it. Not even watched the trailer. I would have seen the name Dog Soldiers and just literally went on my assumption that it was a military movie and nothing more, and I would have never given it a second thought.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you finally saw it, because this movie deserves to be seen, especially for a debut filmmaker. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely knew what they were doing with a low budget. Mm-hmm. Even the issues that we had with the low budget, you can easily say they're forgivable because everything else around it makes it better.
Yeah. And Neil Marshall is doing better and better these days too. I mean, he even worked with Liam Cunningham later, filming some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. So he's still kicking. I can't wait to see what he does next.
All right, so that was our thoughts on Dog Soldiers. As always, we encourage you to reach out to us if you have thoughts on the movie. You can hit us up. We are on social media at Twitter at BSBargainBin, Facebook.com/BSBargainBin, or, of course, the chat section, the comment section of the YouTube videos. Ben.
Mm-hmm.
That was a blast.
It's a good time.
Good movie. Fun to watch. All positives. Are we following this up next week? What are we watching next week that's going to be just as good?
Oh, now I'm sad. I thought this movie was going to... It's a heavy film, right? It gets pretty dark. It's intense. It's exhilarating. So I thought next week we'd kind of lighten things up a bit and go comedy action instead of another action horror. So we're talking 1994's Charlie Sheen starring The Chase.
All units, code 503, stolen vehicle, 89 Volkswagen Rabbit, white.
Come here. Do it. Grab their guns. Do it now. Kick them over to me. I said kick them over to me, Pele. My name is Jack, and you are?
Natalie.
Millionaire Dalton Voss's daughter is being held hostage by this man.
You down to Mexico much?
No, why?
Because that's where we're headed.
This is Chief Boyle. Get after that BMW.
Domino's Pizza. You hurt my little girl, Hammond. I swear to God, I'll kill you myself. Why me? I go in for some cigarettes, and I wind up kidnapping the daughter of Dalton Voss. What are the odds?
Whoa! Did you see that? That medical school truck is spilling out cadavers.
Now that's disgusting.
So you're gonna tell me why you're on the run?
I was convicted of a crime I did not commit. Time to stop those little yuppie punks, Dale. Time to be heroes. Let's go,
Tonight, there's terror on the freeway.
I'm really scared. Can you see the look on their faces?
Hey, look at that. You're folk here already.
This is ridiculous.
This is Frank Smith.
I don't believe this.
It's easy for us reporting this story to forget there's a very scared little girl inside that car.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't have a girlfriend.
What kind of nut is this?
You haven't been with a woman in a couple years?
Things can get really messy now.
So it's conceivable that you'd never be with a woman ever again, right?
Right. What the hell is he swerving all over for? What are you doing?
Falling in love with you.
It's hard to tell just how far he's gonna go with this, Bill. Hang on!
God, this is so romantic.
The chase. Getting there is twice the fun.
Until next week, have a good one.
All the best, guys.